Bitcoin, right, is one of those assets which is now being monetized, and it is rising through this chaos to be the apex property asset, or the apex monetizing asset. So I'm of the opinion that we're going to see a consistent demonetization of other key assets, and you know, one asset that you'll see demonetized, that we're seeing demonetized right now, is bonds. I mean, I guess the big three category, right, or maybe the big four: currency, bonds, real estate, and equity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus upon real estate. Let's say you had a piece of commercial real estate. Maybe it's a $2 million building called a warehouse, worth $2 million. That's 100 Bitcoin, 100 Bitcoin building as of right now. And I happen to pull out a genie in a bottle, and the genie comes out and says, well, Michael, I'll give you infinite wishes. And so I start casting magic spells to fix the defects in my warehouse. So what's the first defect? Well, the warehouse has got a finite life. It's only going to last 100 years. And after 100 years, the warehouse is going to fall down or rust. It's got a problem there. It won't last 1,000 years. It won't last 100,000 years. So I say to the genie, why don't you make the building last forever, like literally immortal? Okay, how do you do that? Well, just make it out of something which is literally indestructible. How about, like, you know, pure energy, pure solar energy. Like stars last 1 billion years, so make it out of star stuff. Okay, fine. The building is immortal. Now the second problem is buildings are prone to damage. If there's a hurricane, or if there's an earthquake, or if someone drives a truck into it, or if someone sets a bomb off in it, or if it gets rained on and the water runs into cracks in the buildings, and the water expands and the building facade decays and it crumbles. So I say to the genie, make it indestructible. No problem. You know, when I made it immortal, I also made it indestructible, right? So it doesn't matter how often it gets rained on, and if it gets struck by lightning or rained on or crashed into it or exploded, it's not going anywhere. Now the issue is the building has maintenance fees. There are all sorts of fees normally on an ordinary building, and you're paying insurance. That's a maintenance fee. Well, the insurance goes away if the building is indestructible, right? And then I have to always, if I have a building with steel or something in it, I have to paint it to keep it from rusting. Well, that goes away. No repainting, no changing out the roof. So no caulking, no fixing cracks. So the maintenance fees go away, and if the maintenance cost of the building goes away, then it's worth even more. Oftentimes maintenance fees could be 1%, 2%, 3% of the commercial value of the building. So if you pay 3% of the value of the building for the next 100 years, right, that's 300%. If I took the 300% and I took it to zero, building is worth more. Okay, that's good. So the genie basically makes the maintenance cost, makes it a low maintenance or zero maintenance building. Now, what else drives down the value of the building? Property taxes. The building is sitting in the middle of a city, and there's a city tax. There might be a state property tax. There's some kind of property tax. Those taxes can range from 10, 20 basis points a year to 250 basis points a year. In Florida, the property tax on a building that's held as a residence is 200 basis points a year. 10 million, you know, the $10 million building costs you $200,000 a year to hold it. That's another form of maintenance. So I say to the genie, well, make the property tax go away. Well, how do we do that? Well, we move it out of space. It's not in a city. It's not in a country. It's in cyberspace. So in cyberspace, there's no property tax. If I could move the building, you know, into orbit around Jupiter, there'd be no property tax, right? Move the building. So now I've got an indestructible, immortal, maintenance-free building with no property tax. It's getting a bit more valuable. The building is sitting in California, and nobody wants to rent the building in California, but all the customers are in New York City. So I blink, and the building is teleported to New York City. Great. Well, now they want the building in Tokyo during the Tokyo Olympics. So I blink, and the building is there. So I say to the genie, well, make the building teleportable. If I can instantly teleport the building anywhere, that would be better building. Okay. I've just upgraded the property a bit more. Now, what impairs the value of the building? Well, a limitation on who you can rent it to, right? So when I can teleport the building, then I can move it to any city or any place where there are people, and I can rent it to them. But the other problem is you can only rent a building maybe by the month, maybe by the year, maybe by the decade. Well, what if I've got someone that's willing to pay me $100,000 a day, but they only want to rent it for 3 days during the Monaco Grand Prix? That's an example. You know, during the inauguration in DC, when there's infinite demand and people will pay 10x as much. I need an office space in DC for 3 weeks. Can you teleport the building there? Well, that would be an easier to monetize piece of real estate. So I say to the genie, let me rent it to anyone for any period. Someone comes along and looks at my warehouse and they go, yeah, well, this is great. I would pay you quadruple normal rent, but I only want a quarter of it. Okay, I'd like to be able to subdivide it. What if I could subdivide the building into 4 pieces and ship it to 4 different cities and sell it to the highest bidder? Then my issue is, well, it's only a warehouse or it's only a whatever. I want to use it for anything. So if the genie basically cast a spell and allowed me to convert the building into a school or into a sports stadium or into a hotel, right? Or how about this one? Into a container ship. People don't want hotels. They want container ships that carry natural gas right now. Well, it'd be a lot more valuable if my real estate could become a different form of property. So if you can use it for anything, that's a big upgrade. My property would be a lot more valuable if I had the right to develop it.